We're covering E1, which is effectively communicating with your supervisor in an ongoing manner. So we are now into the ethics portion of our task list series. And the ethics portion is mainly common sense. It's mainly picking an answer that applies, but isn't too strong or isn't too weak. And so just applying common sense and looking for something that's not over the top is really the secret to the ethics questions. You're going to be asked questions about getting feedback, communicating with your supervisor, door relationships, on and on. It's just how should you act as an RBT when you're in the field and providing services. So the first place they start is how do you communicate with your supervisor? Because in ABA, the supervisor relationship is very important for RBTs because the supervisor is going to be creating the plans. They're going to be teaching you the plans. They're going to be giving you feedback. Okay, they're going to be improving your abilities as an RBT. In return, as the RBT, you're going to be reporting things to the supervisor because typically you'll be out there with the client more often than the supervisor, and you'll be seeing a lot more than they will. So that really good communication, that line of communication is very important to have success. We want open and ongoing communication with your supervisor. It's essential, okay? RBTs must communicate with their supervisors in order to give their clients a better chance of success. If we don't work as a team, okay, our clients' chances of success go down, okay? It's just a fact. So the more we can communicate, the more we can work on a team at a professional level, the better. We don't need to be best friends with our supervisor. You don't even have to like your supervisor, okay? But as long as you can communicate with them and they can communicate with you and that information exchange can occur, okay, our clients are going to have a better chance of success, which is really all we're trying to achieve here. RBTs and supervisors must develop a healthy working relationship. It is free from exploitation or neglect. So your supervisor should not be exploiting you, okay, due to a position of authority. You should not be being asked to do things you're not comfortable with or that are outside of your job scope, okay? So that doesn't give them a right to exploit you just because they supervise you. And they also aren't allowed to neglect you, okay? If you don't see your supervisor for 1 or 2 months at a time, okay, that's unethical and you have a room for a complaint. Okay, they must provide you supervision on an ongoing, consistent basis. And then finally, communication should be receptive and expressive, which we'll talk about next slide. But first, let's do a quick question. Your BCBA just implemented a new treatment plan that includes new reinforcement, a new BIP, and a new skill acquisition targets. If you do not understand a portion of the plan, when should you contact your supervisor? Okay, so this is a common one for newer RBTs, especially who are just learning their way through ABA, because passing the exam is one thing and actually doing ABA is a whole nother thing. Okay, so you're going to learn a whole new world once you actually start implementing. Okay, and in this scenario, what you're going to encounter is a scenario where you don't understand something about the plan, which one is perfectly acceptable. It's normal. And when that occurs, okay, question is asking when should you contact your supervisor, because that is the person who you should be leaning on, who should be teaching you and guiding you and sharing with you how they want the plan implemented. So when should you contact them? Should you contact them the next time you receive supervision, the next time you see them in the office or in the clinic, immediately, even during session, or try and work through it yourself first and then reach out? So A and B, what's the issue with A and B? Well, the next time you receive supervision might be a couple weeks away, and you might never see them outside of supervision. And so, therefore, if you're waiting 2, 3 weeks at a time to ask questions, that is more time where you're doing something incorrectly or not implementing it the way it should be. So, you could be reinforcing the wrong behaviors, you should be teaching the wrong skill targets, and we're just wasting time. Okay. So, A and B would just be too long in between when the problem occurs and when you actually get help. Okay. You need to be more diligent, more proactive. What's the problem with D? Try and work through it yourself first and then reach out. Problem with that is, even though you have good intentions and you want to do it yourself and you want to figure it out, you can save everyone a lot of time and a lot of headache by just asking. Okay. Because we respect that you want to do it yourself and figure it out. But if you do it incorrectly, okay, that can just lead to bigger and more problems, right? So When should you reach out? You should reach out immediately. As soon as you have an issue, okay, you should reach out before you go any further. Okay. It's vital that you reach out immediately. We all have text messages and phone calls, so everyone's always available. So if you have a question, see immediately, even during session. All right, continuing. Open and ongoing communication with your supervisor is essential to success in ABA. We are talking about receptive communication and expressive. So receptive is you're taking in information. So you're receiving feedback, which is actually a separate task list item, which we'll go over later on. You're going to follow directions, you're going to learn new information, and you're going to implement new information. Now, when we say follow directions, you're not following blindly, okay, because you still have a compass that should be guiding you towards ethical decisions and what you feel is right, okay? But you need to be receptive to learning new things and being told new things, okay? And on the flip side, you need to provide feedback to your supervisor about the client. You need to provide your supervisor feedback about how their supervision is going. That's a really underutilized thing. It's actually a requirement. As supervisors receive supervision, okay, because we need to be told what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, okay, and RBTs are the best people to do that. So you need to be communicating that as well. You should express concerns you have with the client by being honest and being prompt in your questions or needs, okay. No question is dumb. If you have a question, you need to ask it as soon as possible, okay. And of course, your mandatory reporter. If you see something that concerns you or that you're uncomfortable with, you should express that to your supervisor immediately. So when we're talking about communication, okay, we're talking about constant communication. We don't need to know every single detail from the session, but if something important happens, then you should let the supervisor know. If something happens during session that you're unsure of, you should contact them immediately. If the parent says something, if you notice something about the parents, if the behavior changes, on, right? The entire idea here is to not overcomplicate this. All it is having a good working relationship with your supervisor. Open line of communication for questions, feedback, following directions, learning new information. It's how you get better. It's how the BCBA gets better, and then it's how your client is going to make progress. So, question: you just passed your RBT exam. Your company just assigned you your first case, and you are set to meet your supervisor for the first time. During your second session with your client, you notice your client engages in maladaptive behaviors when told to wait. This is not in the treatment plan. What should you do? So, this is a situation where you might be a newer RBT, okay, or even experienced RBT, right, who notices something about the client that isn't written down or in the treatment plan. What do you do? Okay, so this is a situation that's going to occur often because you're typically going to be with the client more than your supervisor. So you're going to have the opportunity to see a lot more behaviors and things like that. And we rely on RBTs, okay, to communicate this stuff to us. You got to be the eyes and the ears, okay, of the team because you're out there all the time. And if we only talk to you during supervision, that really limits our ability to understand what's going on. So in this situation, you see a new behavior. What should you do? Should you continue to observe the behavior over the next couple of weeks? Should you tell your client's parents and recommend that they implement a punishment procedure? Should you say nothing, you're too new in the field and need more experience? Or should you have a conversation with your supervisor about what you observed? Well, A is okay. It's an okay answer because you should continue to observe the behavior. So if this was our best answer, we could possibly pick A. However, we always want to read all our choices, right? So right now, A looks decent, but is there a better answer? This could be. Tell your client's parents and recommend they implement a punishment procedure. Definitely not. Okay, you should not be providing behavioral and treatment advice to the parent. Okay, this is the entire idea behind communicating with your supervisor, so they can communicate it. Okay, with your help, but you should never be recommending. Okay, how your parents and how your client's parents treat these behaviors. Okay, so B is out. C, say nothing. You're too new in the field and need more experience. Definitely not, right? Saying nothing is the worst thing you can do. Okay. Doesn't matter how new you are in the field. And even if you are new, it's even better because you can have the chance to learn, right? So that leaves us with A and D. And D, have a conversation with your supervisor about what you observed. Yes, right? The first things first, although you should continue to observe, you want to understand how you should be observing, what kind of data you should be taking, how you should be reacting, and you learn all these things through conversations with your supervisor. And that's the benefit of this ongoing communication. When new behaviors happen, you can learn and understand how to react to them. Okay, continuing, open and ongoing communication with your supervisor. Ongoing communication may include discussions around parents, clients, behavior plans, treatment plans, skill acquisition plans, feeding plans, scheduling, cancellations, a variety of things, right? It could be anything. The most important part is to have that ongoing communication, okay? So you must communicate early and you must communicate often, okay? So question, the BACB ethical codes dictate that RBTs are supposed to allow gifts or are not supposed to allow gifts or food from clients when in the household. Your client's parents continue to push you to eat lunch with them. What should you do? So you're not allowed to take gifts and food and things like that, okay? Because we start to get conflicts of interest, right? And it can develop into something more if you have to come off the case or if we have to do something with the client. It can cause conflicts, and so it's per the BACB, it's not allowed. So you're in a situation where your client continues to push you to eat lunch with them, okay? It might be cultural, it might just be a polite thing, okay? I've been in this situation. It's actually fairly common, okay? So as an RBT, what should you do? Should you continue to deny their request and nothing more? Should you eat lunch with them? It can't cause that much harm. Should you report it to your supervisor, or should you abandon the case? It's just too uncomfortable. Well, D is wrong because we don't abandon cases, okay, especially for situations like this, which are easily fixable, okay. A, continue to deny the request and nothing more. So you should continue to deny the request, but you have another avenue, right? There's something else you should be doing. You should be taking advantage of having a supervisor there, okay, who is there to deal with these kind of things. Your supervisor comes with supporting you, right, and having that two-way relationship where they should support you here, and they should be the ones having this conversation with the parents about offering gifts and meals, okay? If your supervisor is putting you in the position of having this conversation, okay, you need to evaluate if they're really the best supervisor for you, because this is what you should be doing. When this happens, you should report it, and then your supervisor can direct you on where to go from there. Ideally, your supervisor would have a conversation with your client's parents, okay, about our ethical codes and why you cannot eat lunch with them, okay? So this is a situation where you should take advantage of your supervisor, okay, or having your supervisor around and ask them for guidance, okay? If you're in an uncomfortable position like this, then use your supervisor to your advantage, okay? The best answer here is C. So again, open and ongoing communication. It's essential. Communicate early, communicate often, ask questions. Okay, it's the only way to get better, the only way to learn. All right, that wraps it up. So again, if you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. Check out our website or check out all our practice materials, which you can get to directly from these links, which I'll put in the comments and descriptions below. We have 2 practice exams, a task list study guide, and a combo pack. The combo pack comes with everything, including flashcards. And now we have our competency assessment study guide as well. So this weekend, I'll be doing a shout out video and then back next week with 3 more new ones. So be on the lookout for that. Keep studying hard, and I will see you soon.